Preparing to live stream the meeting. That's what it says. It's running across. I just put conversation with Madame Onça. I love that. Madame Onça. I like to say it like that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying it correctly, too. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
Really?
I get called Anka a lot. And it's,
Oh, my goodness.
It's fine. But, I know they mean me, but it's nice to not have to.
I know. No, they're not. Oh, my gosh. No. They must say it with the right accent and such. Madame Onça.
Well, I hope I'm doing you the courtesy of saying yours correctly as well.
Yeah. Yes, Queen Osset. Let's see. It's churning, it's churning, it's churning. Conversation with Madame Onça is coming across the tab, and it looks like we might be popping up. The right accent.
Well, I hope I'm doing you the courtesy of saying yours correctly as well. There's my voice.
Yes, Queen Osset. Oh, okay, we're live now, I think.
Fantastic.
So, what is it we're supposed to do? It's supposed to be, we're live, but I'm paused. Give me a second. Come on now. Right? Oh, people are on. Can you see? Can you see the chat?
Oh, let me make sure that I can.
Okay, so it's churning, it's churning, it's churning. Conversation with Madame Onça is coming across the tab, and it looks like we might be popping up. I think I have to turn down the volume or something. Let me do this.
Oh, look at that. I see us.
I hope I'm doing it the courtesy of. It's churning, it's churning, it's churning. All right. Can you still hear me? Give me the
I can. It's a little quiet, but I can hear you.
No.
Great.
I think I have to turn down the volume or something. Let me do this.
Oh, look at that. I see us.
Can you see it? It's churning, it's churning, it's churning.
Okay.
Can you still hear me?
I can. It's a little quiet, but I can hear you.
I think I have to turn down the volume or something. Let me do this.
Look at that. I see us.
It's churning, it's churning, it's churning. I feel like we're waiting for something to catch up.
It's a little quiet, but I can hear you.
Turn down your volume.
My volume.
So do you have your volume up?
Oh. Ha, how about that?
There we go. Beautiful.
Great.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Well, we've worked hard to make this happen.
Oh my gosh. I don't know where we are. It's almost like you really can't pay attention to what's going on the screen, because even though we're live, there is like a delay on YouTube's end, right?
Yes.
So now I'm at the opposite side of where we were when we first started talking.
So now you're this way?
Yeah, point your finger to a wall, and I can tell you if I'm on that side or not. Left or right, point your finger.
I am pointing my fingers to my right.
You know what? The visual hasn't caught up yet. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I'm watching us on YouTube. Duh. I don't want to watch us on YouTube. I need to watch us on Zoom. Oh my goodness. No wonder. Duh. Don't watch us on. There we go. Oh my gosh. Don't watch us on YouTube. Yes. We're still, yes. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm watching us on YouTube. I did that before.
It's so meta.
Oh my goodness gracious. All right. So, wow, this is wild. Can I say, Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. I'm still getting myself electronically situated here, trying to figure this thing out because, wow, I really have no clue what I'm doing. I should not be allowed to operate electronics like this because I don't know what I'm doing. So I would love to see. All right. I'm gonna have to, so that I can see questions, because I'm not seeing anything in YouTube right now, and I'm kind of hoping that someone is monitoring the questions or anything that's coming in. So we're just gonna do this. Maybe I should bring up YouTube. This really is live, glitches and everything. So if you ever watch any of my videos, like when I do a walkthrough and everything, I don't edit.
It's all
What you
real.
see is what you get, because this is real life, right?
Well, now I see myself, and where you are, it's a black screen. So I'm just going to hope that you're going to come back.
Christina, you're there watching. I am going to rely on you, Christina, to let me know if any questions come across. You know what? I'm looking at the phone and I can see, oh my gosh, look at that. Madame Onça, I could see us, but I can't see the chat. Wait. Oh,
I see things in the YouTubes, but I cannot see things anywhere else.
oh, okay, we're here. All right, I'm just going to leave it that way. And I have my phone beside us in case anyone poses a question, and then we'll just take it from there. So peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Queen Osset here. And today, I just want you guys to meet the hardest working woman in show business.
That's me.
Turn down the volume on your thing, Madame Onça.
I am.
Okay.
Hold, please. I've got fresh technological challenges over here. There. Okay, I think we're good on that part. Yes, hi everybody, it's me. I'm Madame Onça. I'm delighted and honored and privileged to be here. Ooh.
Yes. Okay, we're back. Whew. Honey, it's going to be a struggle, but we're good. All right.
Just keep swimming.
Madame Onça. So you guys are probably wondering, why do I have this beautiful woman here on a tarot channel? Well, you guys, you know that I'm more than just a card slinger. You know, I'm a belly dancer. And the way that I know Madame Onça is through the belly dance world. But Madame Onça, besides being just the hardest working woman in show business, is also the creator of this deck, the World Spirit Tarot. Yes, Madame Onça, she's the creator of that deck.
I am.
So I wanted her to come on and talk to us a little bit, because she's got this channel on YouTube, and I think it's been active for a little bit, but you don't have, I don't know, like you have most of your connections and your communications like through Patreon and such. And then I guess you grace us by uploading your Patreon, some of your Patreon content. Is that true?
Well, what I've been doing is, I've taught workshops in tarot and so forth, all over the years. But when everything shut down in March and we found ourselves not only all suddenly trapped, that maybe that's too strong a word, but we suddenly found our lives disrupted. And I saw people of every walk of life around me sort of spinning in place. It was so disorienting, and people suddenly had a different use of time and didn't know what to do with themselves. And so I just started teaching online, originally through Facebook, just pay what you can 3 times a week. So I started teaching, and then I taught for 6 months. And I went from teaching on Facebook, and then started doing Zoom classes and tried all the different formats. And I just found myself with so much material and so many people who because our lives are disrupted, we're like, hey, is there any way I could catch that? I'm an essential worker. I was doing a shift at the hospital. So I've been trying to put everything that I can online. Some of it goes to my Patreon. Everything that I'm able to also goes to YouTube. I just want to make sure people could access it. But it's true, I have not been putting my energy so much into growing tarot as a business as just trying to be a resource for people during this unprecedented moment in history. So now I've generated all of these videos and a brand new website and so forth. A lot of things have happened and changed for me as far as working with the tarot. But so I'm grateful for an opportunity to share my passion with your community. Thanks.
Well, I really appreciate you being here. So one of the main reason why I wanted to have you on here, and even if I get stuck, can you see me still?
It's for some reason your screen is entirely blacked out, but I can see you on YouTube.
Okay, stay there. Oh gosh. Here we go. Come on, Zoom. Don't do this to me. I swear.
Did you maybe turn off your camera? But if you're busy on
I did. It's just stuck. It's just stuck. So.
All right. Well, I mean, we can. If there are folks here with us, we can talk. Whatever you're comfortable with.
My video is frozen, so people can still hear me.
I can.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm just going to be stuck for a little bit then. Because if I refresh this, I'm concerned about losing my connection with.
Right. Right. All the people. And hello to the folks who have said hi. Hi. Appreciate you.
I know. Right. Oh, okay. Well, Christina's here. So we've got a few people watching.
Great.
So now I can still see me. I'm still here. I'm going to try something because I know with StreamYard, you can come out and come back in. All right, now. Mm-hmm. Christina, I know I'm seeing you on YouTube. I'm going to... Let me see. Liminal Lark comes in. I'm still frozen there. Maybe I could try to refresh. I know. See? All right.
I think what we're certain about is that if we are unable to make this happen with any real quality today, that we're happy to try to find another time. But since we're here now, we're just going to keep pitting ourselves against
exactly
of the internet.
I know, right? It's like it doesn't want to cooperate. You know what I'm saying? Not on any level whatsoever. Okay.
We're here.
And yet we're still talking. We're still here because I can actually still see. I can see you on my phone.
Hi.
You know what I mean? Christina says the video is frozen with my smile, so it's okay.
Right. At least they caught you at a good moment. It's not that.
Right. Okay. So
when the photographer catches you at the bottom of an undulation instead of the top, and it's
exactly. You know what I mean? And all of that's coming across. So I'm frozen. You're still moving. So we're just going to keep this going. Okay. Right. So what really caught my attention, and thank you everybody, because now I'm really techie. I feel like I'm connected to the Borg. Okay. I've got I'm sitting in my son's room that's filled with nothing but electronics. But let's get back to the business at hand. Yeah, you're giving me the eye, darling, because I see you.
I am. I know where you
are. Your series on YouTube, when you start going through the cards and you start giving the descriptions of the imagery in your cards. Okay, Madame Onça, you do not have those descriptions in your book. It's almost like I am going to require that you write another book to go with this deck, right? I understand there's going to be a third printing.
That's correct.
I need another guide. I need a guidebook. I need one that's fleshed out. Okay, so very quickly, well, not quickly, if you can get to, let's say, the death card, right?
Yep.
When I listen to your description of why okay, let's get to what inspired you to create this deck. So number one, this is the World Spirit Tarot. World Spirit Tarot deck. One of my good friends, Tom Benjamin, he is a fan of this deck. Okay.
Oh, great.
Your deck is inclusive before inclusivity became a thing.
Thank you for noticing.
You follow me?
Yes.
At the time when your deck came out, I wanted to say maybe Ancestral Path and Tarot of the Ages may have been around, but other than that, there weren't too many other decks that were, thank you, included, right? Let me see. Okay.
I want to make sure folks get a chance to look at that.
Yes. Let's see here what's going on. So, yes, now we're showing the card, the death card.
Yes.
You tell us the inspiration, because when I'm going to tell you, I watch your channel, so I'm up like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to say about 5:30 when you listen to that, when I listened to that, I sat my ass down. I'm telling you, like, I was like, wait a minute, wait, where's that deck? Let me get that deck. Let me look at this, you know? And so I started to go back to all the old everything that you had put up. I started going through and like watching the whole series. And I've got a notebook and I said, I need this guidebook. Like I need to see this in writing. Do you not know the information that you put out there? So go ahead. You have the floor. Speak, please.
Well, thank you. Yes. So here's the shorthand of how this deck came to be.
Yes.
20 years ago. How can I even say something happened to me 20 years ago? But 20 years ago, right. I went through a magical initiation. And part of the challenge that was presented to me at that time was that I needed to learn something about some system of divination. It could have been anything, could have been, you know, runes or haruspicy or whatever. I always like to joke that, you know, tarot cards are far easier to travel with than entrails. So no haruspicy for me, thanks. So being an artist, I was like, oh, I'll do tarot cards. I can learn about tarot cards. And I got the little white book, you know, the little LWB. And I thought, it is impossible to learn tarot cards from these. This is really, how is this even possible? So I did a deep dive. And I started to study every deck that I could get my hands on. I got about 12 different decks and 12 different sources, you know, give or take a few, and did a multiple year deep study. And that was, you know, using, of course, I used the Thoth deck. I used the Rider-Waite, what we now call the Rider-Waite Smith deck, you know, Daughters of the Moon, like a lot of the sort of very formative decks of this century, I would say. Right. And did a real deep dive to learn everything that I could about it, and realized as an artist, it wasn't just a matter of recognizing symbolism, but that I needed to translate the symbolism through my own personal understanding, like my Gnostic sensibilities. And so I started making the art, and they're actually all the images in this deck are linoleum block prints. So they're all drawn in reverse, carved, printed, and then hand colored. And I was making a deck for myself. I never had any intention of sharing it with the world. I got about halfway through this project, which is to say maybe 3 or 4 years in, and folks started saying, well, who's going to publish this? And I was like, I don't know. I live in a yurt. I had no idea. You know, this was before cell phones and the internet. You know, we didn't. Yes. It wasn't like that. You know, I didn't know. So I had to learn a lot about how to bring one's ideas and creativity to the world. But in making the deck, what I saw in the art that was already out there, the representation is that, you know, for example, I came to appreciate the Rider-Waite Smith deck for being a piece of iconographic genius, but it was all thin, rich, white people. And I was like, you know, I was living in Asheville, North Carolina, living a very sort of subversive, alternative lifestyle. And, you know, my life was full of people of color and full of people exploring world art forms and people of all body types and queer people, non-binary people, people of all ages.
And this was 20 years ago.
That was 20 years ago. And I was like, I couldn't find any significant body of work in the tarot that reflected the world as I was experiencing it. And now the phrase for that is representation matters. But at the time, it was just like, why is everything in a tarot deck sort of, it was like looking into a glamour magazine, it's like a carefully curated version of white people world. And I was like, that's not the world I live in. I literally live in a yurt. Like, I haul my water, I work at a food co-op. My friends are farmers and Stonewall activists and stuff. So I just needed to see something that was representative. And of course, I was deeply involved in the Middle Eastern dance and tribal community at that time too. So I was living in this world of saturation with different sounds and different textiles and different approaches to clothes and different environments in terms of architecture. And I just thought it made so much more sense to bring something of the spirit of the whole planet to the art and not have it just be something for a very specific demographic. And so for me, it was just a natural outflowing of what I wanted to see. I wanted to be the tarot I wanted to see in the world, I guess. Didn't really think it was that radical at the time, but it turns out that I'm happy to say that the world has caught up with the idea that that's really important. It's really important for people to see something in the tarot that reflects their own experiences.
Exactly.
So I hope that answers your question.
Right. So then you decided to create a tarot deck.
I did.
That reflected the world around you. Okay.
And the world as it should be,
The world as it should be, and your experiences.
Yeah.
But your deck, this is 20 years ago, because nowadays I'm noticing that decks have become more personalized for a lot of creators and such. Not all of them. I still think that people gather a lot of their knowledge and all of that, probably from magazines or Google, but they don't have any personal interaction.
Sure.
This is one of the things that I love about the belly dance world. I think that everybody should take up belly dance, at least for 3 months.
That's wonderful.
I do. Why? Because you get to meet a plethora of different people from across the world. Right? Mm-hmm. And one day you can see Susie Homemaker, and she's Susie Homemaker, and she's got the 5.6 kids or whatever it is. And then the next thing you know, she's doing undulations on stage, and she's got glitter and veils and all of that on her, right? Or you can see corporate Catherine, suited down, high heels, and then you see her on stage, and her, she's got black eye paint on and black, like you, black lipstick, all of that, right? So you can adopt this persona. And what happens is that you see so many body types, like there is a great appreciation of the body. Mm-hmm. This earthly container that we have to occupy for a limited amount of time. There is a great appreciation of it in all of its forms.
Yes.
Right? No matter what.
Yes, you may say, I'm so excited for you because you can shimmy so well, instead of somebody spending all of their time being concerned about, am I too much? Right. It's a place where, all various body types can be celebrated because we all have different abilities. We bring our unique selves along with our unique personalities and our unique bodies to this art form.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And one of the things that I noticed in the belly dance community, so I started dancing very late in life, age 45. Mm-hmm. And I started, you go through the techniques and such. And one of the things I learned as I progressed was that if you can bring some of your life experience to the dance, it comes across more authentic, your choice of music, your movements, and we can choreograph something out the wazoo, but nobody knows that choreography except for you, especially if you're a solo dancer, right? Mm-hmm. And if you put your feeling and your experience into it, the audience enjoys it more. They appreciate it more. And that is what I feel happens with your tarot deck. Okay. And when I look at the imagery, man, it's like everything everything is there. You know, it's like a huge melange of the world as we know it. And that, I keep reiterating this, that was 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
The human experience was being celebrated. So as I said, when I was watching you and you talked about the death card, if you want to explain what you have said in regards to that.
Yes, I'm glad to do that. So as I was studying traditional representations of the death in the tarot, in the Rider-Waite, in that sort of tradition, and many of the decks of this century reiterate that art. There's the sort of the grim figure of there's the Grim Reaper in armor a lot of times, and they're taking down kings and bishops, and there's children. I mean, it's morbid, certainly.
Right.
And it's a bold statement about the original art makes a bold statement about class and so forth, but I wanted something that was much more personal and much more about the transformation of the individual, something that leaned into the idea, when the death card comes up in a reading, a big part of the message of it is it's not just that you're dealing with difficulty, it's that you're dealing with transformation. And on the other side of the difficulty of that death card, that experience is the next thing, the new thing. And I feel like the old images just really fixated sort of on the deep, dark, difficult parts of the death card. So in making this, I wanted to bring some emphasis to the notion of the transformation. So here's the Phoenix, and we see all the figures around this departed person, even the Grim Reaper. We see them all going through the various phases of, denial, grief, anger, all of the things that we usually go through when we're dealing with some sort of painful transformation in our life. And because they're all so deep in those experiences, they're not really able to see in the moment that the Phoenix is rising, that fresh potential is rising. And in this particular image, this person on the funeral bier is actually one of my friends from childhood who was actually murdered in one of the first school shootings to make the news in America. And this was, of course, back in the 90s.
Right.
It happened in our small town, little village, close-knit neighborhood and so forth. And he was a kid in his first year of college. And it was a big to-do, made the news. The news came to our town and came to our street. And it was my first really powerful personal experience of mortality as not just a thing that happens to older folks, not to not just your great grandparents, where of course you're sad, but it's not unexpected. In this case, none of us saw this coming, and it was a transformative moment, not just for my friend, of course, whose life was changed to something else, but for all of us who went through it. So The experience of his death changed a generation, and certainly informed my opinions about America's gun culture. So it's personal. It wasn't just the idea of death, like as a romanticized thing or as a sort of, Judeo-Christian stereotype from the art, but like something that was really real for me and for my generation of people. So that's my death card.
That, like I said, I sat down with that because that's transformation on every level. That is something that sticks with you, right? So, as a mother, right, we sit with our mortality, right? We sit with our children's mortality, even though we don't want to think about it, right? And even becoming a mother, we can't undo being a mother. So that old self that we were before we became a mother, that dies away, right?
I'd like to interject, even for folks who, even if it's somebody who has survived a miscarriage or a stillbirth,
right?
You're still changed, even if you don't have a corporeal child with you. You are still a person who has gone through motherhood and loss.
Right. It could be a fur baby. You know what I mean? It could be the job that you defined yourself by as well. That experience, it's it's visceral, it's real. Another card that that struck me, I want to say it was the Seven of Cups.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned, if it's the Seven of Cups, you mentioned something about your father.
Oh, yes. Good.
See, I listened. I was like, oh my gosh.
Let me see if I can lay my hands on that. So one of the rules of tarot is that the card that you need is always 78 cards away.
Yes, absolutely.
So it will take me a second to bring it up here. But yes, so the Seven of Cups, for folks who know, sevens tend to be cards of sort of exploration, evaluation, and uncertainty. I would say there's always an element of like the evaluative. Is this what I want? What can I do? What are my possibilities here? And so this card is, which surely will appear in my hands at any moment. This card is a picture of my father, because of course, I made this deck. I tried not to put too many people in it. I wanted to keep it. I wanted to keep it universal and not too specific. But I mean, this is totally my dad.
Right.
My dad. This is the card of the dreamer. And sometimes it is about thinking outside the box and considering the unimaginable. Sometimes it is about leaning into your more adventurous, your more creative, or your darker self. In the case of my dad, he was a very charismatic, very low functioning alcoholic art type. So this sort of is him leaning into his best self as a dreamer and an explorer of possibilities. And this image of having the dog there too, it's like you can see the human is thinking of so many things. There's fame and monsters and magic and glory and fairies. And the dog is sleeping very restfully and thinking about ball.
Right.
Humans have such a thing for making our, part of our gift is that we can see and do so many things. Part of our challenge is that our lives are so complicated because of all this complex gray matter that we have.
Right, right.
Recurring theme in my artwork is that, that particularly with the swords, so much of it is the dilemmas that humans get into because we sometimes cut ourselves off from our other better angels.
Yes, yes. When I heard you talk about that, it took me back to that book, that movie, written by Jeanette Walls. I don't know if you know anything about Jeanette Walls. Glass Castles or something like that. And her father had, he was a dreamer as well, you know what I mean? And when they were young, he told them, they were always broke and everything, but he said, I will just choose a star in the sky, and that's your gift. You know what I mean?
Oh.
That's all of that. I know.
Yeah.
All right. So you created this deck. How long did it take to come into being?
7 years.
Really? And why is that?
Well, being linoleum blocks, being carved, of course, your traditional deck has 78 cards plus the back, and, give yourself a margin of error to say, oh, well, I made this version of the image, but, unlike a painting, you can't just touch it up. You have to start over because it's carved. Right. So I carved about 80 blocks, and they're all about 8 by 10. So, the original art is, each block took between 12 and 40 hours to carve. Wow. And that's, in addition to the drawing and the research and the printing and the coloring process. So it took me years and years. And I did do, in conjunction with my co-author of the guide for this edition, Jessica Godino, we spent about 2 years just meeting every week, working through the cards, doing some serious work with them, extended technique, meditations and journaling and all that sort of thing. It was a lot of work too, not just, this is what it is. I didn't want to just spit out Pamela Coleman Smith did a picture of, 7 cups and a person going, whoa, I'll just draw that in my same, in my style. I wanted to understand it. So I was like, what does this make me think of? It makes me think of my dad. It makes me think of the best aspects of him. Creative, heartfelt, earnest, the worst aspects. My dad was an alcoholic and a murderer. Like, all of those things are part of it. So with every image, I wanted to be able to dive into it and do authentic personal work with it, as well as draw the picture. It would have been much faster if I was just, making knockoff art of Pamela Coleman Smith's work or, Lady Frida Harris's work. But every one of these I had to digest interpersonally as well as do the art. So it took a long time because, if you work with the cards, 78 cards, eventually you're going to get through every piece of this material. And that means you've done some kind of inventory of the soul of every issue you've got.
Right. Exactly. And I have heard that if you sat with the deck for an entire year, eventually each card will play a role in some part of your life, and that's part of the journey, right?
Yeah. When I was like, oh boy, it's 10 of Swords week. Oh, this week is going to be hard. I know it is.
Exactly. But sometimes, I don't know. So, I appreciate seeing the 10 of Swords and the Tower come up for me because it's like, finally, this crap is over. You know what I mean? Like, whatever comes, the crap is over. Let's just clean the crap up and we can move forward now. So
I'd rather have the truth. Just tell me the truth.
So exactly.
Peel away the veils.
Yeah, Okay, so 7 years it took you. And
I have a little callus right here on my finger. You can see right there. That callus is forever. That's from pushing a chisel.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that was the original one. And so I have the original in Spanish.
And you do? Oh, that's wonderful.
I have it in Spanish. I'd like to get it in English just because I did manage to find one today, hopefully for the right price. Hopefully it's still available. We'll see. Because I would like the first edition. The second edition I do have. So I want to say the difference, you had some slight differences between the first and second edition, right? You changed the card backs. You changed the Sun card.
Yes, I did.
All right.
Also the Magician card.
Yes.
And, because I did this work 20 years ago and, I grew up in a block printing culture, so it is one of my natural forms of artistic expression. But, as a person, my abilities, my thinking has grown and shifted. So, of course, when I made a new edition, I wanted to be able to update some of the images. Most of the work I will stand by. I'm pleased to say that it has aged well.
Okay, yes.
But I wanted to be able to, make some updates. So with the Sun card, the first Sun card was my first attempt to carve a child. I was not a mom yet, and babies, as you are well aware, are strangely proportioned compared to human adults. And I just was not well versed in babies, and that card got a lot of negative feedback because people thought it looked creepy. And that the Sun card is not supposed to have creepy overtones of all the cards in the deck. Being the card of ultimate benediction, it should be the least creepy.
Yes, I know, but it still gets, if nothing else, it still has that, that notoriety in there.
I'm not mad about it. It just reflects me. That was me having a process as an artist.
Right.
I was happy to, here's the Sun card in the new edition, which is much more actually in Pamela Coleman Smith's original.
Yes.
Child on horse, but I made a unicorn. And I was like, why haven't I made unicorns all these years? I haven't drawn a unicorn since I was 10. This was so fun. It was so fun. So I made a few updates in the second edition, and I will also in the third edition.
Okay. Let me see if there are any questions in the chat.
Oh yeah. That's right. I forgot it's not just the
I know. It's not just I know. That's the glass thing. And you can't even see me, so
right. Well, now I'm looking at the YouTube. I can see you just smiling at me. So
so you can see that. Can you see any questions? Oh, good. I'm glad you can see the YouTube.
Yes. Well, do I see questions? I see just comments on the Glass Castle. Folks saying hi. Jeanette Walls.
Oh. Hi, Bosade. Hi, Bosade. Hi, Lisa. Bosade is Ikali Sunflower, and Lisa is Keratin's Cauldron.
Okay.
Both on the other side of the pond.
Well,
Wilson is in the UK and Lisa is in New Zealand. Jennifer Kay, did you? She put it on her wish list, not knowing another. Well, we don't know when the next edition is coming out.
I had originally hoped to do it this year,
Oh,
in this calendar year because of the 20th anniversary and so forth. But with everything in retrograde for months and months on end, I thought perhaps it was a terrible time to try to go into production. So I've been working on it in my own time, but
right.
I have not. I've just come back down to the business of production is a whole other animal. And in fact, the one of the differences between the first edition and the second edition is that the first edition was put out by Llewellyn. And so, again, I'm a kid living in a yurt. I didn't even have electricity, let alone the means to create something like a tarot deck. And Llewellyn graciously eventually gave me back all the rights. And so I realized people were selling my deck on the internet for hundreds of dollars. Like I could not have afforded to buy my own art if I had wanted to. So I thought perhaps I should make a second edition. And that's gone very well. And for folks who are interested in buying it, there's only about 100 of them left. So
Really?
if you're getting one, you might want to, because soon they too apparently will show up on the internet for obscene amounts of money.
Yeah. So Janelle wanted to know if you are an Aquarius rising.
I am not. I'm a Gemini, but I have I think it's Sagittarius rising, and I was surprised. Yeah.
And Janelle, I am an Aquarius moon. I'm a Leo sun, Leo rising, Aquarius moon.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I know, right? I'm all about the Leo, baby. Okay.
And to be fair, I'm really just beginning to learn to lean into astrology, I would say, at this point in my life. I've always been surrounded by Geminis and Scorpios, and so I could look around and go, I don't know about astrology, but I know all Scorpios are alike.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And as a matter of fact, my friend Christina, who's monitoring the chat right here, she is a Gemini.
Oh.
Yeah, she is.
Chatty.
Right, she is. Okay, she's checking the chat for questions.
I appreciate it. Yeah, if anyone has any about about the deck or about any tarot related matter, I will take a moment here to say one of the choices that I made with my deck, and I think I wasn't trying to be clever, but I think that it did also anticipate the present conversation, is that rather than having like a king, queen, princess, prince or something like that, in my deck, I have a seer, seeker, sibyl, sage, and they're still essentially fulfilling the same roles of, childlike learning space, adventurous but unschooled learning space, mastery of the personal realm, mastery of the wider realm. The reason that I did that was that I felt very strongly that it was appropriate to start to address classism in the tarot, as well as sizeism and racism and all those things that we've already talked about. Kings and queens mean something very different to us now.
Yes.
When the tarot first evolved as a game and then as a cultural force, kings and queens and things were an expression of either the divine right of kings or war and war and and political alliance. We have a much different relationship with what the people cards mean in our lives, and I was trying to find a non-hierarchical way to allow each of those personality types to be expressed and be useful to the reader, while starting to detach some of the aristocratic connotations that really don't have any place in our day-to-day construct. So
okay, so you changed that, but okay, so for me, in my culture, queen is you've reached a certain stage in your life, and so culturally, queen applies to to someone who's gone through. Right.
But that's the thing that you have. I would say yes, and that is because as a queen, that is a thing you have arrived at because of your learning, your growth, your adventure, your personality, not because it was handed to you or because of your alliance to someone else, you know. To become a queen, you know, or to be a knight, to be like a, you know, a person who is questing and driven by ideals. Ideally, you know, that's an expression of who you are, not something that's been done to you. And the problem that I had with the people cards in their old noble structure was just that this notion that the king, by merit of being male and powerful and older, was better, you know, was a more evolved personality type than the, you know, the page or the princess, who are, you know, they're youthful and they're just a girl. Like there were all these sticky feelings in there around power. And I don't think that for us in this time and place, that's a useful way for us to think about the people cards. They are rather, you know, you're a queen because you've earned it and you've become it. You know, the same as I am Madam because I put in my time. I wasn't always Madam. You know, I used to be kiddo, you know, I put in my time to sort of reach a place in my life where I feel comfortable with that sobriquet, you know. So yeah, I wanted to make a distinction between that which we earn and build and make, and that which we just inherit.
I see. Okay. And you'll be keeping, well, if you can let us in on what would the new deck, what would differentiate the new deck from these others? Because, you know, I'm a collector.
Yes.
I'm just saying, I'm a collector now, right? So I like to collect editions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there will be some differences of art. You know, again, I'm using this opportunity to update a few of the cards. I am working on a star card that I'm very excited about. I am working on, and actually, I went through some interesting internal deliberation about art and cultural appropriation and cultural appropriateness with that, because I wanted to, you know, the star card traditionally in the last 100 years, it's usually like a mostly naked, kind of thinnish blonde lady by the water. You know, and in some ways I've found that very relatable, but I'm just one person. And I really wanted to make her, you know, more of a bountiful, full-figured person, more, you know, all of these things. And then I had to go through this whole artistic question about, you know, I had drawn a Black woman, you know, with this beautiful curvy body. And then I was like, is it appropriate for me to draw this, however lovingly, to draw this Black woman naked? Is that for me to do and like put her body on display? The star card's traditionally naked. Can I do that? Is that where we are in the cultural conversation around what a person can do in art with integrity and sensitivity? As compared to like, you know, putting clothes on her because I'm hiding this full figured body as if it's not glorious. Like when I was a kid 20 years ago, these were not really, I'm sure that some wise people somewhere were having these conversations, but we certainly weren't having them, you know, in the subculture that I was in. We hadn't gotten there yet. So I didn't think about these things at the time. I was just making raw, pure art. And, you know, here I am now. Am I almost out of time? Okay, I only have a few more minutes. There's another show coming on after me. Okay. So for example, that card is one that I have spent a lot of time with, trying to make it everything that I think it can be, and also exploring what is appropriate for me as an artist. What I do know is that I'm going to be writing a book.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I have been prompted to consider that it is important that we expand on this original text.
Good.
I'm going to be writing this year. I'm going to write an entire book just for you.
Okay. Thank you. And just one more question, and then, you know, we'll wrap up. So someone wanted to know, well, our wisdom, she wanted to know the lore of the Lover's card. Are those angels in the corners?
Oh, yes, the little cherubim, as it were. Yeah. So in my Lover's card, again, you'll notice that the people are very sort of gender androgynous. That was important to me because I wanted to decentralize heteronormativity in the lover's card. And of course, historically, you know, there were times and places when it was the twins card. It was about balance and relationship, but it wasn't always about like sex and romance. So I wanted to make some space in there for lots of kinds of folks and lots of kinds of relationships to see themselves reflected. And then we have these, the little cherubim, I guess you might say, are there to represent warm, loving feeling that is, I'm going to say cosmic, but not of the sexually passionate variety. So they're here sort of bringing that elemental quality. And then in the corners, you see Pan and Kuan Yin, respectively, bringing physical passion when appropriate and compassion, that which can make, you know, chemistry livable, right? Is the ability to live with each other in balance. So together, I was trying to build a full constellation that would allow for lots of different kinds of relationships to be represented in the lover's card, and not merely heterosexual romance.
Okay. Well, Madame Onça, thank you so much for gracing me with your beauty and your presence and your knowledge. To all the viewers who are asking questions, I wish we can get the deck. I'll put the link down below, but I know you have an Etsy shop, you have your website.
Right.
We're going to put the link to your
The World Spirit Tarot. Yes.
Okay. Yes. And your YouTube channel. Yeah. worldspirittarot.com. Yeah.
It's the World Spirit Tarot, because somebody in Spain already has a website called World Spirit Tarot. But yes, the World Spirit Tarot will take you to me. And
okay. All right. Yes. Wow. I am excited for the 3rd edition coming out. Again, as I said, I'm going to track down an English version of the 1st edition. You know, you signed my 2nd edition, and hopefully I can get your signature on my 3rd edition.
I'm sure that we can make it so.
Yes. I don't know if you have any other questions. Maybe we'll have you back. Let's see, maybe when the interwebs are, you know, cooperating.
That would be wonderful. I'd love to be able to see more of your face as
we you know. Okay. It's only because we're doing it like this. But to all of my viewers, I say good night. If you have any questions, I guess they'll leave them in the chat. We'll come back in and look again. And, you know, who knows? Maybe we'll come back and visit another time.
That would be wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm easy to find all over the internet because, of course, here we all are living our lives online.
Right. Exactly.
I'm glad to be a resource for you. And I'm so grateful to have been a guest of the Queen.
Thank you so much. So much. So to everyone, I'm going to see if I can end this chat now. Let's see how do I do this on YouTube? This is crazy, right?
Blessed be.
Good night, everyone. Let's see. Yes, you guys have a great night. Madame Onça, don't go anywhere, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I am trying to end the live on YouTube. And because don't go anywhere.
Now I wonder, will I
turn on your Wi-Fi?
Yes, that's what I was wondering.
Stop live stream.
Okay, I think my live stream is on, so I think I can pull out this cable. See you. Can you hear me now? And you'll see me all along the branches that blow. There you are. Through the streets and the branches that blow, baby. The branches that blow. All right. Are you still here?
I am still here.
Okay, great. I
Yes.
apologize. There's
That's
another
okay.
show starting in that chair at 5 minutes